week before he died, sitting alone in a cave on the side of a mountain, Miyamoto Musashi wrote out a list of 21 rules for living. He called it the Dokodo, the path of walking alone. There are no flourishes in it, no long passages. Each rule is a single sentence. He was 61 years old, dying of what was almost certainly lung cancer, and he was distilling a lifetime of self-mastery into the smallest possible number of words. One of those rules, the sixth on the list, has confused men for 4 centuries. It reads, "Do not regret what you have done." When most men read this for the first time, they hear permission. They think Musashi is letting them off the hook. They think he is saying that the past does not matter, that whatever you did is fine, that you should not look back and feel bad about your choices. He was not saying any of that. He was saying something much harder, much colder, much more useful for a young man trying to build himself into something serious. He was telling you that regret is a form of weakness that you are not allowed to practice anymore. Look at how regret actually behaves in a man's life. Regret is not learning. Learning happens fast and is finished. You did a thing, the thing produced an outcome, you noticed what worked and what did not, you updated your behavior, and you moved on. The whole process takes minutes, hours at most. A man who has learned from a mistake is no longer thinking about it. He is using what he learned to make the next move better. Regret is something different. Regret is the mind chewing on a decision that has already been finalized. It is replaying the moment of choice as if the choice were still open. It is going back again and again to the same closed door, knocking on it, hoping it will open differently. It does not. It will not. The door is closed. The choice is made. The outcome is in motion. And every minute you spend chewing on it is a minute the present moment is not getting from you. Regret is wasted motion. That is what Musashi understood, and that is why he banned it from the kind of man he was trying to build. You do not have time for it. You are a young man with a finite supply of hours. Those hours are the only currency that actually matters. Every hour you spend regretting is an hour you did not spend forging the next phase of yourself. And the men who reach the kind of life you say you want, the kind of life Musashi himself reached, are not the men who chewed on their past most thoroughly. They are the men who spent the least amount of time looking backward and the most amount of time pointing forward. Now, there is a fair objection here. You will say, but I have to think about my mistakes. I have to feel bad about them. Otherwise, I will repeat them. The shame is what keeps me from doing the same wrong thing again. This is the central misunderstanding most young men carry. You do not need shame to stop repeating mistakes. You need updated judgment. These are 2 different things, and most men confuse them their entire lives. Shame is the emotion you feel about who you were when you made the decision. It is identity level. It is the inner voice telling you that the decision proved something bad about you, something permanent, something you have to keep paying for. Judgment is the cold, practical observation that the decision produced an outcome you did not want, and that you now have information you did not have before about which kind of choices lead where. A man who carries shame about a mistake repeats the mistake more often, not less, because the shame eats his energy, his confidence, and his ability to act clearly the next time a similar choice arrives. A man who carries updated judgment about a mistake almost never repeats it, because his judgment has been quietly upgraded, and his energy is still intact, and he is making the next decision from a place of strength rather than a place of self-recrimination. Musashi wanted you running the second program. He had no use for the first. Now look at the way regret operates in men around you. Look at the man who keeps replaying the relationship that ended 5 years ago. Look at the man who is still talking about the job he should have taken when he was 28. Look at the man who is still mentally negotiating with a version of his past that no longer exists. None of these men are learning anything. They have already extracted whatever information was available. They are not in the loop because they need to understand. They are in the loop because they cannot accept that the decision is closed. That refusal to accept the closed door is what regret actually is. And it is what Musashi was telling you to put down. You are going to make mistakes, many of them. Some of them will be small, some of them will be enormous. Some of them will cost you years. Some of them will cost you people you love. Some of them will produce outcomes that you would give anything to undo. You will not be able to undo them. That is the most important sentence in this video. You will not be able to undo any of them. The only question is what you do with the time after. You can spend the time chewing on the closed door, in which case you guarantee that the next door, and the one after, and the one after, will be opened by a smaller, more tentative, more guilty version of yourself who is no longer at full strength. Or you can do what Musashi did. You can take the lesson quickly, cleanly. You can update your judgment. You can let the rest go. And you can walk into the next door at full strength, carrying nothing from the last one except what you actually need. This is not heartlessness. This is not avoidance. It is the discipline of a man who has decided that his energy is too valuable to spend on rooms he has already left. There is a story about Musashi from his middle years that almost no one tells, because it does not fit the legend. After defeating the Yoshioka school in Kyoto in the long string of duels that ended their family's name, Musashi later admitted in writing that he had not handled the encounter perfectly. He had been arrogant. He had taken risks he did not need to take. He had let his ego pull him into setups that could have killed him. He noted this. He used the noticing. He changed how he approached future situations. He did not regret it. He simply learned. You will read his later writings and find no anguish about the Yoshioka episodes, no paragraphs of self-criticism, no revisiting. He took what was useful, integrated it, and walked forward. The rest he left behind because the rest was not useful, and a man with useful work to do does not carry weight that is not useful. This is the practice. This is what you have to install. Every time something goes wrong in your life from this point forward, you give yourself a short window to extract the lesson. 24 hours, 48 at most. You sit with what happened. You ask, honestly, what you can learn from it. You write it down if writing helps. You update your understanding of yourself, of other people, of the situation. Then you stop. You close the door. You walk away from it. You do not return. If the same thoughts try to come back the next day, you notice them and you do not engage. You do not argue with them. You do not feed them. You let them dissolve the way unfed thoughts always dissolve. You point your attention forward at the next thing you can actually do something about. This sounds simple. It is not. It is one of the hardest disciplines a young man can install in himself. The mind wants to chew. The mind wants to replay. The mind wants to keep negotiating with the past, because the past, unlike the future, feels controllable in retrospect. But the past is not controllable. That is the whole point. The whole reason regret feels safer than action is that regret deals with closed material, and closed material cannot surprise you. The present can surprise you. The future definitely can. The past is finished and therefore manageable, and the mind, in its weakness, prefers the manageable to the alive. Musashi was telling you to refuse the manageable. Stay in the live. There's one more thing here that almost no one notices about Precept 6. Notice that he does not say, "Do not regret what you have done if it turned out well." He does not say, "Do not regret what you have done if you had good intentions." He just says, "Do not regret what you have done. Full stop." Whatever it was, whatever the outcome, whatever your reasoning at the time, whatever the cost. This is total. He is not letting you choose which past actions you are allowed to chew on. He is taking away the entire category. He is telling you that no past action, regardless of how badly it turned out, is allowed to live inside you as an open loop. You close all of them. You walk forward from all of them. You leave none of them open. This is not because they were not bad. Some of them probably were. Some of his were too. He had killed men. He had been arrogant. He had hurt people who did not deserve it. He had made decisions in his 20s that he later understood differently. He still refused to regret any of it, because he knew, deep down, that the man chewing on his past was not the man who could complete the work in front of him, and the work in front of him was the only thing that actually mattered. The past was over. The work was alive. He gave his energy to the alive thing. You can begin this practice tomorrow. You take inventory of the things you are currently regretting, the choices you keep replaying, the doors you keep mentally knocking on, the relationships, the careers, the moments, the words. You take whatever lesson is actually available from each of them. Write it down. One sentence per item. What did you learn? What will you do differently? Period. Then you close every door. You stop visiting them. You stop discussing them. You stop using them as inner conversation material. You stop letting them be the background music of your hours. If your mind drifts back, you notice and you redirect forward to what is alive, to what you can still build, to what is in front of you that the past version of yourself never got to see because he was too busy chewing on what was already finished. Musashi spent his entire life walking forward. He paid the price for what he did. He learned what he could learn. He left the rest behind. And the man he became by his 60s was a man other men could feel something different about the moment he walked into a room. Heavier, cleaner, quieter, not because he had a perfect past, because he had stopped carrying his past around with him. You can become that man. Take the lesson, drop the rest, walk forward. Do not regret what you have done.